Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Joby Aviation. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And in the case of this chart, unfortunately we are dealing with quite an ugly structure, and we did manage to form here a new all-time high, which allows us to refrain from tracking a larger downtrend that could be continued in this area. But unfortunately, even though we could be also tracking this as an initial 1-2-1-2 setup, yeah, it could have been a double 1-2 setup, we did not manage to continue within this structure to the upside, as we have only formed here a 3-wave move. Now, I could still be tracking a larger leading diagonal to the upside, but even that interpretation is not necessarily a high preference one, because in such a scenario I would need to be considering this the actual low within the wave 2, because yeah, again, here we failed to form a 5-wave structure to the upside. This was actually critical, and while we didn't necessarily invalidate the relevant levels of support for such a correction in the wave 4, yeah, we can actually even track them if we want to, and we would have down to the 50% retracement, and yeah, technically we could consider that it did hold, but this correction has been so much out of proportion with this entire wave to the upside that it is a very low probability scenario for me that it is still part of this larger movement to the upside within a larger wave 3, or yeah, any type of a 5-wave move. And in that case, I probably prefer for this chart to be tracking a larger ABC movement that would be unfolding in this area, within which we would expect still further continuation higher, yeah, especially within this wave C, as we always are looking for a 5-wave move to be developing within the wave C. Yeah, this is non-negotiable. The wave C must be a 5-wave move, but it can be a diagonal structure and a third wave cannot. Now, in such a case, we still have continuation from this area of support expected. So we have the wave 1, 2, 3 complete. We are looking here at a wave 4 correction and the 5th wave to be unfolding. Now, technically, this wave 3 could still extend higher, but it is absolutely not needed. We have already even achieved the golden ratio. We have pushed past the ideal target for the wave 3, which is actually even better, yeah, no problem, to see extensions within a wave 3. So yeah, it is technically possible for this wave 3 to extend even higher in an ABC movement in of itself, in which case the correction could go even deeper than what we allow for the wave 4, but it is not necessarily a focus, and right now, yeah, we are considering that this wave 4 may have even bottomed actually. So this wave 2 correction, we can see that it took, what is it, like 3 months, something like that. Well, this wave 4 correction took like 3 months, something like that, very proportionate with the expectation or with the previous correction in the wave 2, which allows us to even more reliably pair this interpretation together and consider that we have this area of support for continuation higher between the $14.9 all the way down to the $8.6 level. Now, what is actually the difference maker between all these scenarios that we have talked about in this video is actually how this structure to the upside unfolds. Now, it doesn't really matter if we already started it, if we formed a bottom within the wave 4, or if we extend even further within the wave 4 and then form a 5th wave or whatever wave to the upside. But the difference is that within this interpretation in white, in a wave 5, we expect to form once again an ABC movement to the upside. In the interpretation that would allow a much more continued overall uptrend, potentially even within a larger 5-wave move within to the upside, yeah, in a leading diagonal, we would expect in pretty much all cases to actually form a 5-wave move to the upside within this area. Then in such a pattern, if we manage to build such a move to the upside, we will have, with decent probabilities, another area of support, another correction within a wave 4 that we can track. And in fact, this would have not been a wave 4 in the end, but yeah, this interpretation still dominates the chart in my opinion and is the more likely of the two to play out. And then, if we actually play out in the expected pattern in an ABC structure in a 5th wave in this area, we will be tracking an area of support to still track, to still allow further continuation in a larger uptrend, but we need to be aware that this would present a larger full structure in an ABC movement to the upside, and that we should be prepared even for a larger downtrend continuation, yeah, possibly forming even new all-time lows in such a scenario. And we will need to be entirely reliant on the internal structures to actually determine which pattern is more likely. yeah, form a large leading diagonal to the upside where this would have been only a wave 1 and have a wave 2 correction, possibly a larger ABC even, or head to new all-time lows within a larger correction. All will depend on the internal structure, where we see the initial 5-wave move to the 5-wave move, yeah, whether it is to the downside, that would be a signal that we should expect continuation. Whether it is to the upside, that would be a signal that we should be looking for a potential trade setup to the upside on the long side. But in the end, we will need to be patient with the actual trade setups on this chart because the structure is not necessarily a very reliable one. Now in the smaller time frame within this movement to the sideways, yeah, in this correction in the wave 4, we have sufficient waves. To the downside, we have a 3-wave structure, clearly an ABC movement that can very easily be tracked as a, yeah, even for ABC. And in the wave C, we have a clear 5-wave move to the downside in a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th. Works perfectly fine, no need to really look too much into it. And not only that, but we have pushed here into the 38.2% retracement, which is the ideal target for a wave 4. Now, this is not, however, a signal that this structure has bottomed. Sure, it could have. I would have no problem at all with such an idea because, again, we have the 3-wave to the downside, we have the correction into the area of support, and all I really need for a more clear signal that this structure has bottom would have been, or what I would have needed, would have been an initial 5-wave move to the upside. This would have been a confirmation that this structure has indeed bottomed and that after a follow-up, after the 5-wave move to the upside, after a follow-up 3-wave correction, we would have here an entry potential for an area of support that we would have been able to determine with quite precise accuracy, and then we would have expected another 5-wave move to the upside that could have allowed, yeah, this larger ABC structure even to unfold within the wave 5. Now, since this has not formed yet, we still need to be very much aware of further continuation lower. And for that, we can actually even draw here an area of resistance that we can track, yeah, for even a larger ABC movement, where in the wave B, technically we could have already topped. We basically pushed into the 50% retracement, the $16 level, before getting this more significant rejection. And unfortunately, this structure is kind of in limbo because while we have formed this additional top, I don't necessarily need it as part of this structure to the upside. So this could be an ABC movement, where in the wave C, we could allow basically this structure to be a part of it, and this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th, something like that. Could be an extension within the wave B, could be part of a larger wave A, but I could also consider that this is the actual top, and we would have here an initial 1, 2 setup where we would expect even a potential wave 3 to the downside. So right now, we kind of have to lean very heavily on the specific areas of support and resistance that we can track. And for support, we are tracking here the levels between the $14.3 all the way down to the $12.9 level, where if we break here below the 78.6% retracement, it would be quite a good indication, quite a good signal that this structure would be expected to form still another low within this larger correction in wave 4. Now, if we manage to push in a more direct fashion higher, having no initial 5-wave move to the upside is not making that impossible, especially because we are tracking a wave A. Now, a wave A, at least part of the larger 5th wave in the white scenario. Wave A could be indeed a 5-wave move to the upside, but it could be a leading diagonal, it could be a 5-wave move, and honestly, a wave A could even be an ABC structure in of itself. So it makes trading these structures extremely difficult, and it forces us to rely even more heavily on the smaller counts, which makes the overall chart structure less reliable. And what is telling us, so it's not that it's not giving us information because it has bad structure, it's that it has bad structure that is telling us that we should probably stay away until we get a more clear signal that we should be looking for a position, that we should be looking for a potential trade setup in a specific area. And for now, yeah, this is pretty much it. For a signal that this structure is likely to extend higher, I would need to see here a break above the 78.6% retracement internally, where this could be a 1-2 setup that has already formed. So if we form another high, if we break the previous top here, I would actually assume and guess that this structure is most likely going to extend higher. And for that, we are watching around the $15.3 level. If we want the actual swing high in this area, we are looking at the $15.39 level. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.